Today is Wei Wuxian's birthday. Last night, he and Lan Wangji played in bed for nearly half the night. As dawn began to break, he was sleeping soundly next to Lan Wangji, their hands clasped together, never letting go. Ah Ying, Ah Ying. Someone was calling him. It was a voice from deep in his memory, the voices of his father and mother calling him when he was a child. Little Wei Ying, about 5 or 6 years old, was sitting on the ground, covered in dirt, making something out of leaves. Hearing the call, he turned his head and saw his father and mother, and quickly got up from the ground, running towards them. Cangse Sanren called from a distance. "Ah Ying, come here quickly." Little Wei Ying ran over, calling, "Dad! Mom!" As he reached them, Cangse Sanren lovingly brushed the dirt off his face and said with a smile, "Look at you, so dirty." Little Wei Ying giggled. Cangse Sanren brought out a bowl of noodles from the kitchen and placed it on the wooden table in the yard. She said to little Wei Ying, "Today is our precious A Ying's birthday, so I made you a bowl of longevity noodles." Wei Cangse smiled and added, "To be able to eat the noodles your mother made is a rare treat." Little Wei Ying ran over, peered into the bowl, and exclaimed excitedly, "Wow, there's a poached egg!" Cangse Sanren said, "Go ahead and eat." Little Wei Ying responded, "Okay," and began eating the noodles happily, saying, "This is so delicious." Cangse Sanren sat down beside him, quietly watching him and gently stroking his fluffy hair. "Ah Xian, Ah Xian." Wei Wuxian was slurping his noodles when he heard someone calling him again. Now he was a teenager. He looked up and saw Jiang Yanli and Jiang Cheng standing not far away. Jiang Yanli was holding a soup pot, likely just stewed in the kitchen. Smiling, she called out, "Ah Xian, come over here." Wei Wuxian instinctively responded with joy, "Seen your sister." He looked around the courtyard, and his father and mother were no longer there. While he was still in a daze, Jiang Cheng, with a look of disdain, said, "What are you standing there for? Hurry up and come over. Do you want me to carry you?" Wei Wuxian hesitated and answered, "Oh, coming," and hurried over. Jiang Yanli placed the soup pot on the stone table and lifted the lid. Wei Wuxian saw it was lotus root and pork rib soup, and immediately exclaimed, "Wow, seen your sister's lotus root and pork rib soup." Jiang Yanli ladled the soup into 2 small bowls, one for him and one for Jiang Cheng. Wei Wuxian said, "It's been so long since I had this. I missed it so much." Jiang Cheng humphed at his exaggerated words, showing his disdain. Wei Wuxian picked up his bowl and prepared to drink the soup. He felt that something was odd but couldn't quite figure it out. Jiang Yanli smiled and said, "Ah Xian, happy birthday." Jiang Cheng reluctantly added, "Happy birthday." Wei Wuxian laughed. "Thank you, senior." Before he could finish his sentence, someone called out to him, "Young master! Young Master Wei." He turned towards the voice but saw no one. He looked back and asked, "Senior sister Jiang Cheng, did you hear someone calling me?" However, he found that Jiang Yanli and Jiang Cheng were no longer by the stone table. The person calling him appeared and said, "Young Master Wei, it's getting late. It's time to go back." Wei Wuxian looked closely and realized, Wenqing? By now, he was already on the burial mounds. Unlike the usual dark and gloomy burial mounds, today the trees were adorned with lanterns, brightly illuminating the place. Wenning, Uncle Four, Granny, and Wen Yuan were also there. A Yuan waved his little hand and called out to him, "Brother Jian." Wenqing said, "Today is your birthday. Everyone has lit lanterns and made delicious food for you." They all congratulated him. "Happy birthday, young master." Little Yuan also shouted loudly, "Happy birthday, Brother Xian." In the distance, the Wen family gathered together, lively and cheerful, calling out to him, "Young master, come over quickly." Wei Wuxian felt warmth in his heart and ran towards them eagerly. "You—" But his voice suddenly stopped as the Wen family members, Wenqing and Wen Ning, suddenly disappeared before his eyes. Wei Wuxian shouted, "Wait! He continued to run towards where their shadows had vanished. However, there was still no one in sight. Wei Wuxian slowed his steps and murmured, "No." Only a sky full of flower petals drifted down. He stretched out his hands, catching a few petals and holding them in his palms, but the petals still slipped through the gaps between his fingers, just like the people he once wanted to grasp, wanted to protect, but ultimately had to watch them slip away one by one. He lost all his strength and slowly knelt to the ground. "No, don't leave me." The surroundings were silent and dark, reminiscent of the time when he walked alone on the lonely path of the demonic way. When he was a few years old, his parents met with a sudden disaster, leaving him to wander the world alone. Later, he was taken in by Uncle Jiang to Lotus Pier to practice swordsmanship. He grew up with Jiang Cheng and his fellow disciples, playing and laughing together. But then, the Lotus Pier was destroyed overnight by the Wen clan. He lived quietly with the Wen clan on the Burial Mounds, trying to protect their last hope for life. Yet, the innocent Wen clan members were eventually massacred by the cultivation sects. Senior sister also lost her life in Nightless City while protecting him. Those close to him, those he wanted to protect. In the end, he couldn't save even a single one. Suddenly, another voice came. "Wei Ying, come back to Gusu with me." Isn't this Lan Zhan's voice? How could it appear here? Wei Wuxian immediately perked up and stood up, looking around in the void. "Lan Zhan, is that you? Where are you?" Lan Wangji's voice continued. "Elder brother, I want to bring someone back to Yunshen. Bring him back and hide him. But he is unwilling." This was undoubtedly Lan Zhan's voice. When did he say these words? Was the he in these words referring to him? Lan Wangji's voice continued. "Wei Ying, come back to Yunshen with me." Wei Wuxian couldn't see Lan Wangji and shouted loudly, "Lan Zhan!" He ran towards the direction of the voice, searching desperately. The voice continued, "I am Lan Zhan, Lan Wangji. Wei Ying, can you hear me? Come back to Gusu with me, all right? The rabbits you gave me are well taken care of. No matter what we have to face, I will bear it with you. Wei Ying, I love you. Can you hear me?" Wei Wuxian yelled, "Lan Zhan, where are you?" "Wei Ying, let me be your support and home, will you?" Wei Wuxian turned around and saw a figure in white quietly standing behind him. It was Lan Wangji. Wei Wuxian couldn't hold back his tears anymore. "Lan Zhan, all right, take me with you. Anywhere is fine." Lan Wangji raised his hand and gently wiped away the tears streaming down Wei Wuxian's cheeks. Suddenly, Wei Wuxian noticed that Lan Wangji was slowly moving away. Afraid that he would also disappear, Wei Wuxian quickly reached out to grab him and cried, "Lan Zhan, where are you going?" But Lan Wangji seemed unable to hear his call, turning away and gradually walking farther and farther away. Lan Wangji had already gotten up and finished washing. Hearing Wei Wuxian's cries, he came over and sat by the bed, calling, "Wei Ying? Wei Ying?" Wei Wuxian was still trapped in his dream, grabbing Lan Wangji's hand tightly. "Lan Zhan, don't leave me." Lan Wangji realized he was being tormented by a nightmare and could guess what he was experiencing in it. He wiped the tears from Wei Wuxian's eyes and gently patted him. "Wei Ying, I'm here. Wake up." With a loud shout, Wei Wuxian finally woke up. He quickly sat up, tightly hugging Lan Wangji. "Lan Zhan." Lan Wangji allowed himself to be held and softly said, I'm here. They held each other tightly. After a while, Lan Wangji felt Wei Wuxian finally calming down and his heartbeat returning to normal. He gently asked, "Did you have a nightmare?" Wei Wuxian replied with a, He released Lan Wangji and, returning to his usual cheerful self, sat on the bed in a somewhat improper posture, saying, "Lan Zhan, I dreamt that you said many things that I had never heard before. I can only hear you talk that much in a dream." Lan Wangji asked, "What did I say?" Wei Wuxian said, "You said you wanted to take me back to Yunshen and hide me away. You also said you wanted to be my home and support." Lan Wangji's eyes suddenly widened and his ears turned red. Wei Wuxian teased him, "What's with that expression?" "It was my dream. Probably just me adding drama to it." You'd never say those things, probably. Why are you so surprised? Lan Wangji, no longer the person who kept everything to himself, turned his head slightly, struggling a bit as he said, "No, I have thought about it. I have always wanted to, but just never mentioned it to you." Wei Wuxian was astonished. "Really?" Lan Wangji replied, Wei Wuxian laughed heartily. "Oh my God, Lan Zhan, you. I never expected this." Lan Wangji lunged forward to cover Wei Wuxian's mouth. Loud noises are forbidden in Yunshan. Wei Wuxian thought to himself, haven't we made enough noise every day? Clearly, Lan Zhan just doesn't want to listen and is using the clan rules as an excuse. Is he shy again? So adorable. He held Lan Wangji's hand, leaned in, and kissed him, saying, "Lan Zhan, I never knew your thoughts before. Now, you have long been my support and home." Lan Wangji looked at the lover he had admired since his youth. In their past life, Wei Wuxian had been displaced, envied, and misunderstood. Now, he had finally brought him back to Gusu, making Yunshan his home. Having finally found the person he had been waiting for, this life was enough. The corners of Lan Wangji's mouth lifted slightly, revealing a faint but beautiful smile, like sunlight on snow, which made Wei Wuxian dazed. Wei Wuxian pulled Lan Wangji towards himself, as if trying to merge their bodies together. "Lan Zhan, this life, and even in our past lives, meeting you has been my greatest fortune." Do you know when did Lan Wangji say that Wei Ying, "I love you"? Can you hear me?